Thank you, councillors. First up, we'll start with the prayer and acknowledgement of country. Councillor Etheridge.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. O God, grant that by the knowledge of thy will, all we may resolve shall work together for good. We pray through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. I would like to acknowledge the Wiradjuri people who are the traditional custodians of the land. I would also like to pay respect to the elders, both past and present, of the Wiradjuri nation, and extend that respect to other Aboriginal peoples from one nations who are present.
Okay, thank you. So, councillors, please note that representatives of the media are present and have been approved to use a recording device to record this meeting for their records if they wish. I also advise that Council is now web streaming its standing committees and Council meetings live to the internet, and as such, those present should refrain from making any defamatory statements. As the signs indicate on the entry to the Council chamber, your attendance at this meeting in the chamber is your acceptance of the condition that your image may be recorded and streamed to the internet, as well as being retained in the archives of the recorded Council meetings and standing committee meetings. So first up, councillors, we have CCL 19/182, the confirmation of minutes. Can I have a mover of that one, please? Move Councillor Lawrence, seconded Councillor Jones. Any discussion or debate on that matter? No, I put that. All those in favour? All right, now carried. Next we have a leave of absence, and we have one request for leave of absence in the name of Councillor Gumley. Can I have a mover of that? Move Councillor Grant, seconded Councillor Etheridge. Any discussion and or debate on that matter? No, I put that. All those in favour? I know, carried. We now move, councillors, to public forum. First in the public forum is Mr Alex White regarding water restrictions. Mr White. Yep. General rules for our public forum. Mr White, is you have 5 minutes, effectively. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you to the Mayor, the councillors and the council staff. I've come to address the water restrictions here tonight. So back on the 23rd of September, Council decided to introduce level 4 water restrictions. So for people like me and the horticulture industry, level 4 really did look all doom and gloom. And at this point we had a bit of a choice. We had to decide what type of people we really wanted to be. So there's a few different types of people. The first lot are the type that like to bury their head in the sand and just hope everything could be okay. The next type are the type that really just like to complain, point the finger, be negative, and generally point the finger without offering any real solutions. And then the third type is the type that like to speak up, acknowledge the current situation, and try to work together with all stakeholders to deliver solutions that can hopefully benefit everyone. To this date, I'd like to think that we have been part of that third group, the group that tries to work together to deliver solutions. And at this point, I'd like to thank Council for allowing us to be part of the conversation, which really works towards solutions that can benefit everybody. Without this openness and being able to talk, I don't think we'd be at the situation we are today, where we're reviewing the water restrictions, which looks positive for us moving forward. I suppose to make this relevant, why is green space important? So green space is really important for livability, and when we talk about livability, we talk about why people really want to live and be part of this great city. Why they want to live here, why do they want to work here? And that is because of everything that we have to offer. Mental health. Mental health is a very important part, and green space, especially in the middle of this current drought, when things are looking doom and gloom, you talk to people who come to Dubbo and they say, you know what, even if it's only for 2 seconds, just seeing that little bit of green space, everything's okay. It might be only for 2 seconds, but that 2 seconds, everything's okay. It's also important for the general health and well-being of people. Without green space, we find it hard to encourage people to be active. This is through kids' community sport, through to more professional type of sports and events. Speaking about sporting events, the value of those to the local economy is enormous. When we hold some of our major sporting events, they bring tourism to the area. So the hoteliers, the restaurants and the local shops all benefit from these sporting events. Without having the facilities that are up to date, we miss out on that money for our community. It's also important to people just for their homes in general. The value that it adds to their home, whether it be for their retirement, for people investing. We have a lot of people that do invest in properties outside of town, and without being able to maintain these can potentially affect their livelihoods when they retire. And as I'm sure I've alluded to so far, it also affects jobs, both directly and indirectly. Horticulture in Dubbo employs over 200 people directly. This is similar to some of the large enterprises and employers here in Dubbo. The horticulture industry contributes over $100 million a year, and this supports Dubbo and the local community. A lot of the people involved in horticulture in Dubbo are small local businesses that try to put their money back into the local community and local sporting teams. There's been a lot of negativity to date, and this negativity only serves to damage the reputation of Dubbo as well as businesses and the community. So for the people that have been negative, I put the challenge out to them to stop being negative. If they've got something to say, come to the table with solutions. You know, the only way to get through this is to band together and work together to find results that help everybody. So basically what I'm trying to say today is that I'd like to see the draft plan before us adopted, but in adopting it, don't just stop there. Let's commit to review it later on to ensure the ongoing success of this great city. This plan to date is a very great starting point, but the only way to improve on it is to constantly review. So I'd ask that you commit to reviewing this into the future to ensure that this plan meets the current needs and the ongoing needs of the city. Looking to the future, we encourage the council to speak. Sorry, I apologise. So looking to the future, we really need to encourage the ideas of council, community and businesses to provide possible solutions towards drought-proofing the city to come. It's only when we bring all these stakeholders to the table that we can truly get an idea of possible ideas for the positive benefit of this great city. Thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you, Mr. White. Up next we have Melissa Gray regarding the water restrictions. Ms. Gray? Same rules apply. 5 minutes to address the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council and everybody. My name's Mel Gray. I'm an environmental stakeholder on several river and water advisory groups. I'm also an independent bookkeeper and I work with small businesses. The reality of what's happening to our river now is shocking and the outlook is bleak. The environment is being significantly and swiftly impacted by drought-exacerbated water mismanagement. Our river has been cut off at Warren and downstream is drying up surprisingly fast. Mass fish deaths will happen in our river this year. And yesterday's sweet rain on the marshes probably wasn't enough to spare the biggest reed bed in the southern hemisphere from the fire last weekend, and it could be lost. Running out of water is having a devastating impact right now on our valley. The New South Wales Government drafted a report called Assuring Future Urban Water Security in 2013, and it found that Dubbo can expect 30% less potable water by just 2030. But the New South Wales Government decided to ignore this report. Then in 2014, an amendment to the Water Act means that only droughts that occurred before 2004 can be considered when working out how much water to release from the dam. Water managers use last century's data and assume still that the dam will refill every 2 years. They've come close to zero before with Burrendong, but they kept playing Russian roulette with our river and our water supply. And now, Dubbo may have to rely 100% on our over-allocated, over-extracted groundwater supplies by mid-next year. Backwards-looking, old-fashioned thinking and decision-making is why we are in this horrible situation. Expecting it to rain is the New South Wales National Party's plan for water management, but surely Dubbo is smarter than that. Dubbo has a chance now to rethink the way we use water. By trying to keep living in the glory days when we showed our prosperity by liberally watering an artificially green city, we're coming across as old-fashioned and stuck in the past, wasteful and disrespectful of other towns and of our own environment that is doing it very tough. It's time to be realistic about the future that we face. It will be drier than the past we know. It's time to embrace innovation and change our culture. Dubbo could be the city of waterwise gardens. It's up to us. If we try and hang on to the old ways, not only will we be insulting communities around us who have changed, we'll be coming across as wasteful, old-fashioned and out of touch. That's not appealing to newcomers or to investors. They want to know that we take our future seriously and that we will do the hard work we need to change our ways. Change is tough, and some businesses may have to change, and the more we can help and encourage them now, the better. Out west of here, the Barwon Darling has been dying, especially in the last 10 years, due to over-extraction. In those years, Dubbo has been growing steadily as we soak up a refugee populations from the dying towns to our west. If we are smart now with water, then maybe we won't also be forced to move east. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Gray. Up next we have Mr Bob Brown regarding water restrictions.
Thank you, Mayor, councillors and citizens. It's a great privilege to be in Dubbo tonight and to be able to speak for a couple of minutes at this extraordinarily important forum in one of the biggest cities in the Murray-Darling Basin, which is the biggest producer of food for our mega cities around Australia and for many people beyond. Very critical for millions of human beings, but under great stress. I won't claim this too strongly, but on the night I left Tasmania 3 nights ago, we had 13 millimetres of rain, and I like to think that we pulled that rain band across with us so that the same amount was dropped on Dubbo last night, and I hope it continues further north and further east. But of course it's a small change in a world in which we human beings are made up of 70% water, and life on this planet is only possible because of water. The prospects, I won't speak about the local decision-making. However, I can speak about the causal factors which are behind the dilemma of this double drought in this century and the appearance of, or the predictions of, worse to come. The climate emergency which faces the planet is an unusual one when it comes to water, because there will be more water raining out of the skies on the world as we heat up. More goes into the atmosphere, more is held in the atmosphere and more is dropped. But on drier places, the reverse occurs. Generally, there will be less water falling, and I will presume that that's the case over most of Australia, including the Murray-Darling Basin. And the cause of, a critical cause of climate change is 40% coming from the historic burning of coal and other fossil fuels, largely augmented by the loss of forests and woodlands. And we're logging forests at a prodigious rate in my home state of Tasmania, where the carbon held by those forests is as dense as the carbon of the Amazon forests. That's occurring under government policies right now. But when we look at the future of the heating planet, and therefore the drying out of the Murray-Darling Basin, Professor Ross Garnaut, as many of you will know, predicted that with no change in policy, this is 2008, there would be a 92% loss of vegetables, fruit, dairy production in the basin by the end of this century. On current predictions, I'm in my early 70s. Children at school in Dubbo now, by the time they reach my age, in a city which has an average of 4 days of 40 degrees per annum now, will be experiencing 40 days of 40 degrees per annum under current government policies. That's a tenfold increase in the hottest days, and therefore the drying out of the atmosphere, and therefore the loss of water falling over the region and in our rivers. We have cheaper renewable energy available to us right across this country. One thing that's in abundance here is sunshine. We can produce, with current technology, our energy needs in this country from renewable energy and transform across to it very quickly. One thing we should not be doing is burning more fossil fuels, whether that's coal seam gas, oil or coal, and we shouldn't be logging more of our forests. That's why I'm campaigning against the Adani coal mine, because it directly threatens the future of the Murray-Darling Basin, as well as the Great Barrier Reef. And I might end by saying that it's because of fossil fuel burning in the past, and we've all benefited from that. But we have cheaper alternatives now. It's because of burning fossil fuels that we're in this situation that Dubbo faces and is discussing here tonight. We don't have to keep doing that. The Adani mine, the biggest coal lode in the Southern Hemisphere, should not be tapped, and certainly shouldn't be tapped with government subsidies. It has some direct threat to the Artesian Basin, but its biggest impact will be on the economy, the food production of the Murray-Darling Basin. We as a nation can do better than that. And I thank you, Mayor, and I thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, members of the public. We move on now to mayoral minutes. We have first up membership of the Orana Joint Organisation. It's the mayoral minute in my name, obviously. I formally move that. Councillors, my main reason for now asking Council to join this joint organisation is because of the particular situation that is before us right now. We do know that we are in the most unprecedented drought in the history of this country, or at least since white settlement. We need to make sure that our water is continually available and it is viable for consumption for our population. The best way we can do that is for an alliance with our other councils downstream of the Macquarie River. I do have a lot of concerns about a JO. I will register those concerns, just as I did previously in council decisions, in my mayoral minutes, as well as what I've said about JOs in the past, that I do have a lot of concerns. However, I did visit the Minister for Local Government recently, and I did get an assurance from the Minister for Local Government that if Dubbo was to find reason to get out of a JO in the future, that we could get out of this JO if need be, if the JO is not working for us. In the meantime, though, we do have a great opportunity. This crisis with water is a great opportunity for us to be as one voice when it comes to councils across particularly the Macquarie Valley, to lobby and argue for government assistance and funds, particularly when we go down the path of potentially building pipelines from Wellington's Burrendong Dam, through Wellington, obviously, through Dubbo, through Narromine, on Dunedin, etc. We will need this vehicle, being the JO, to help activate that. With the water crisis that we do have, and we know that, yes, the drought will break one day, but I do not want to see this city in the situation where we always are in. That is, a drought comes, everyone talks about fixing the drought, fixing our water resources, fixing our water infrastructure. Then when the drought breaks, we all forget about it. We need to make sure that we get this right and get it right now. And the best way to do that is through collaboration with those councils, particularly downstream of the Macquarie River. That being the case, it's my suggestion to council that we do get in with this JO. We do have this we do have this clause, we do have this extraordinary agreement from the Minister for Local Government that we can get out if need be. Now that is an extraordinary achievement of Dubbo Regional Council to be able to get that. And I think at least for 12 months we should trial this to see if it does work for us, and in the meantime work with these councils, particularly downstream, in order to get this pipeline built. It is an essential piece of infrastructure which conservative estimates says that it could be anything up to $200 million to build, but is essential for the Macquarie Valley. If we want this Macquarie Valley to thrive, to grow, to continue being a vibrant, the home of a vibrant community that produces food, that has many thousands of people living into it, we need this piece of infrastructure. And to do that, the best vehicle to do it at this time is a JO. So I've moved that. Is there any further comment or speakers on the matter? No, I put that. All those in favour? Right, no, carried. Up next we have CCL 19/186, the ongoing economic issues relating to the drought. I formally move that. Now, councillors, I have to say what is said tonight, particularly by Mr White in the gallery, is 100% correct. He is 100% correct. We need to make sure that our businesses, despite what's going on with this unprecedented drought, despite us having and being forced to go into water restrictions, that our businesses remain viable. Long-term economic forecasts of this city will be a lot better served if we can keep our businesses continuing to function during this drought. It serves us no good if we allow certain businesses within our community to potentially die, suffer, shrivel up, whatever you want to call it, and then expect them to reopen again or new ones to come along. It is much better that we keep our existing businesses going during this time of drought. With that being the case, I am very thankful for the amount of support state and federal government has been given farmers, for example, when it comes to drought so far. Of course, I think they need a lot more to keep going, our farmers, but we should be mindful of certain businesses within this community that are not necessarily farmers, but are just as affected by this drought as well. A good example tonight is Mr White and his turf farm. Very good example, doing it just as tough as a lot of farmers because of this drought. We need to make sure that those businesses that are just as affected by drought are also being looked after by federal and state governments as much as our farmers as well. So that being the case, part of this Merrill Minute, councillors, is to ask for further assistance for those small businesses and businesses within the city limits and in the urban areas to be able to continue operating, for some sort of government assistance for the continuing operation of these businesses. It is essential that they continue to grow, to continue to operate. I'm also concerned, councillors, about the long-term economic situation regarding the drought, particularly in Western New South Wales. There will need to be an economic rebuild after this drought. Once the drought ends, and it will end, there's no doubt about that, we are going to need, as inland New South Wales, not just as Dubbo, but the Oranges, the Bathursts, the Tamworths, Armidales, the Waggers, and all that's in between, we're going to need to say in one loud voice that we are a great viable place to invest in. We are a great place to live and work in. In fact, even during drought, we are a great place to invest in. We are a great place to live and work in. So it stands to reason, councillors, that organisations like RDAs, organisations like Evo Cities should be further supported by state and federal government. I've had a bit of a love-hate relationship, particularly with Evo Cities over the years. I think some things they do is fantastic, some things they do is not so good. But now is the time not to be closing up these organisations. In fact, now is the time for these regional growth drivers organisations to be supercharged when it comes to backing from state and federal government and indeed local government. We need to be getting behind these organisations so they can start the promotion, not just after the drought's finished, but right now in encouraging growth in our regional areas. That is so important for the long-term survival and viability for our regional areas. We cannot, as a nation, just put our entire population into Sydney and Melbourne and potentially Newcastle and Wollongong. That is unviable, it is ridiculous. We need a strong and viable regional New South Wales and regional Australia. And the best people to drive that is not just local government, but these organisations. They need to be given that extra bounce, that extra push by the federal and state government. So I'm quite keen to get behind Evo Cities again, if and when other councils were to come on board and get involved with it, but it certainly needs the assistance of state government. I certainly ask councils, keen to ask the state and federal government to come to the party on that and really look at the long-term reconstruction of this area when it comes to drought. So I formally move that. Is there any further discussion on that matter? No? I put that. All those in favour? All right, no, carried. Okay, councillors, up next we have Dubbo City Regional Airport Financial Sustainability. It's a Merrill Minute in my name. I formally move that way and say, councillors, look, our airport, what can I say? To be very brief, it is the jewel in the crown of Dubbo Regional Council. There is no doubt about that. Over a 2-year period, up to $100 million has been spent at this airport. It is an airport that is unrivalled in this area. Compared to Orange or compared to Parkes, which is around 60,000 passengers a year, we are up to 220,000 passengers a year. It is a significant achievement that Dubbo, the people of Dubbo, the city of Dubbo and the region of Dubbo should be very, very proud of. But that also means that we need to continue to work with our airport operators, all stakeholders, airlines and everyone else that goes in with it as well. This Merrill Minute for notation is to get on record that our continuing efforts to make sure that this airport remains the jewel in the crown of Dubbo Regional Council. It's something I'm very proud of. It's certainly one of my favourite beasts that the council controls and runs. And look, and it's something I think council does very, very well. In fact, there are no other local government areas in New South Wales that can say that they've had so much success with their airport over the last 3 or 4 years as what Dubbo Regional Council has. So I'll leave it at that. Is there any further comment or discussion on that matter? Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I too would like to echo your words on the Dubbo Regional Airport. It is one of the greatest regional airports in Australia. As you know, that we have visited many regional airports within New South Wales and parts of Australia, and Dubbo Regional Airport is going ahead great guns. It is expanding rapidly, and due to the fact that we have had support from federal and state governments to help us strengthen our runway, to help us put new lights at the airstrip, to make it safer. And that's one of the reasons why many airlines choose to use Dubbo Regional Airport as a service hub and to conduct flights out back into the city areas, plus back into rural areas, which has now taken place due to subsidy from the state government to get Cobar, Burke and Walgett back up and running with their flights. We also have a heavy occupation from the Royal Flying Doctor service that is continually growing out there and being a fantastic medical transport facility which is second to none as far as I'm concerned. Also the Rural Fire Service, which has made their way to Dubbo Regional Airport and attracting more businesses in that area. We've gone from an airport that had a terminal and a couple of sheds to a very viable resource for Dubbo Regional Council and a very productive resource for Dubbo Regional Council and a very profitable organisation that can sustain its own working abilities without slugging everyone in Dubbo Regional Council to prop it up. So I think that it is great that Dubbo Regional Airport is on track to be very successful, and it has taken a lot of planning, a lot of forward thinking, and a lot of other people that have donated a significant amount of time into this airport to make it what it is today. And we should be thankful for that. And airlines are thankful for that because they come in here and they tell us that they are thankful for that. Qantas, which have been at this airport for some time, have always come to us with other ways of making our terminal more attractive and more operational to service the needs of their customers, along with other airlines as well. So in saying that, Mr Mayor, I think this is a good mayoral minute, and I look forward to working with Dubbo Regional Airport in the future. I know we have been nominated several times for industry awards with the AAA Airport Authority, and we have been successful in gaining awards through that organisation, and hopefully there are more to come. Thank you.
It's obviously been quite a public exchange at times between Council and Rex, and I think it's a positive thing that now the exchange will be played out in a confidential meeting where the parties will have an opportunity to exchange their different views. And of course, in a negotiation, things shouldn't be in advance necessarily on the table or off the table. There should be an open mind, but I certainly would like to say that I will never support a relaxation of security screening at the airport. To me, that it's totally unacceptable, the idea that for years you provide a level of security screening and you get the community used to the idea that there is a certain degree of security screening and then all of a sudden it is no longer there. In my view, you don't treat the community like that. It's disruptive, it will upset and concern people. So I certainly look forward to a good faith negotiation and a meeting in December where all things are discussed. But I wanted to put on the record now that I will certainly never support a relaxation of security screening.
Further comment, councillors? No? Okay, I'll put that. All those in favour? I know, carried. Up next, we have the report of the Development and Environment Committee meeting of the 8th of October. Can I have a mover of that? Councillor Moore, a seconder, please. Councillor Diffie. Any discussion or debate on that matter? No, I put that then. All those in favour? I know, carried. Now we have CCL 19/189, report of the Infrastructure and Livability Committee meeting of the 8th of October 2019. Can I have a mover of that, please? Move Councillor Moore. A seconder, please. Councillor Etheridge. Any discussion or debate on that matter? No, I put that. All those in favour? I know, carried. Now we have the report of the Culture, Economy and Corporate Committee meeting of the 8th of October 2019. Councillor Moore and seconder Councillor Jones. Any discussion on that matter? No, I put that. All those in favour? Right, no, carried. Now we move on to reports from staff. CCL 19/191, water restriction activities. Can I have a mover of that motion, please? Councillor Ryan, a seconder. Councillor Lawrence. Any discussion on that matter? No, I put Councillor Lawrence.
A few things, thank you. I support fully the contents of the report, and it's been the subject of a lot of discussion in the community, online, in the media and so forth. I think it's important that we've listened, and things the community have been very concerned about include the ability to water lawns, and I think the proposal to still allow the 2 periods of watering but allow people effectively to choose is a very good one. And I think as we move towards a smart meter system, ideally, we would increasingly move towards a system where people have choice inside the confines of an overall daily limit. I've had some interesting discussions with various people in recent times about water restrictions and the history of them, and it's certainly been put to me that it's a very 1940s or 1950s model to put out an edict that says this is what you can do, this is what you can't do. It's necessary, of course, but I think it would be a positive thing in this age of technology that we be able to move to a system where overall daily usage limits are observed, because that's so very important, but that people have choice and autonomy within the context of that overall limit to choose how they use water. Now, that's not what we're proposing tonight, but in some small measures it's a move towards that system, so I certainly think that that is a positive thing. I want to commend Mr White, who spoke in public forum. He's a person with a direct interest in this, being involved in a business that is centrally affected by it, but he hasn't come to it in the spirit of hectoring and complaining and lecturing. Rather, he's taken part in a constructive process, and it's led to changes that that he thinks are better than what was originally proposed, and shows a constructive dialogue. So I want to commend him, and particular his sense of community spirit in acknowledging that, notwithstanding his particular business activity is one closely linked to water usage, that he is willing to acknowledge the need for the community to move together. Having what are broadly acceptable water restrictions, I think, is a key part of the community moving together. I think that's what the contents of this report represents, and I fully support what Mr White has said about the need to review it on a regular basis, so that if things arise, we don't always get things right, and things are not always perfect, circumstances change. A continual process of review, I think, is key, and we will make changes in future if we need to. In the context of talking about the need for community spirit and the community to pull together, it has been, in my view, very unfortunate to see some people in the community in the last week or so engaging really in an active process of disinformation. And certain of those people are former mayors of this council or the previous council. And on the basis of there being a 2015 document, which in itself had a 4-year review in it, and in the circumstances of a fundamental change of circumstances, including the worst drought in recorded history, these people are out there saying, oh, we should be on level 1 water restrictions. Now, we've heard Mel Gray in public forum talk about a New South Wales government report in 2013 that says that in 2030 we will have 30% less drinkable water in our region. Yet there are people out there, apparently, who are sending a message out to the community that all is well and good and that people can be using 400 litres a day or whatever, not at all respecting the change of circumstances. And these people, frankly, are not in a position to be saying what they're saying because they're not water experts and they no longer have access to the expert advice of council staff. A person who is not a water expert and a person who doesn't have access to expert advice is hardly worth listening to on a technical issue like that. So I would certainly like to strongly put on the record that there are people out there who are trying to interfere with and disrupt that process of building community spirit around this. And I want to put on the record that I reject what they have said. It is wrong, it is uninformed, it comes from old knowledge, and really they should know better.
Thank you, Councillor Lawrence. Any further discussion or debate on that matter? Councillor Moore.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I too would like to echo Councillor Lawrence's words to say that this is a learning curve for all this council because this is, pardon the pun, we have never been in uncharted waters like this before to implement level 4 water restrictions in this city. Fortunately, this council have had the gumption to come back and review a policy that was made in 2015, and we have listened to the community and we've understood the community, and the last thing that we'd like to do was make businesses doing it extremely hard to do it even harder by implementing tougher water restrictions. And not saying that, I've always said we don't want Dubbo to be a dust bowl, and we're doing that We're making ways of going around it and making it easier for people to water their lawns or water their prize plants or whatever. So it's a credit to the council and council staff to come up with a plan in such short time in implementing changes to the level 4 water restrictions, which I think are a lot more easier to adapt to, and I think the community will find them a lot more rewarding in abiding by them than not abiding by them. As I said, this is a wake-up call for everyone. Everyone has to adapt to change the way that we do things, because unfortunately, as Bob Brown said, everything in the world relies on water, and we have to do that. Following on from Councillor Lawrence and listening to the garbage that's been publicised on radio stations about what we shouldn't be doing, I fully agree with Councillor Lawrence. They're not in the chair anymore, they're not in the chamber anymore, so butt out. They're not here addressing council about their concerns. They're too busy running around sceptic within the community and saying that we're not doing a very good job when we are doing a very good job. We've had the community come here today and say that we are doing a good job. And I think once the public see that what level 4 water restrictions are, they will embrace it and they will go forward and making sure that they abide by it. The worst thing in your mayoral minute, we have you saying that we should embrace the economy and so forth in Dubbo, and these people are running around making it worse. There's nothing worse than running down Dubbo, especially when they own a business in Dubbo and they're making profit off people in Dubbo. So I can't understand their logic. And honestly, everyone needs to get on board with these water restrictions. This is a thing of today. It's going to be a thing of the future. And unfortunately, we just have to abide by it and adapt to ways and means of conserving water in the future. Thank you.
Further comment, Councillor Ryan.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In 1982, I was involved in a business that was directly related to how much it rained, and that was devastating. At that time, it wasn't even raised that any levels of government would have any measure of support at all. It was all directed towards the farmers. So I understand that local businesses can feel very isolated. I also understand that as councillors, it's our duty to ensure that while we act in the broader public interest and of our ratepayers, that we do everything we can to modify any actions we take so we cause the least harm possible. So I really welcome Mr White and the other proactive business owners who've come to council in a spirit of cooperation. Councillor Lawrence and Councillor Moore have said most of what needs to be said, but I am going to echo that, you know, I am not going to take any heed or any advice from former mayors, geed up by former council senior staff who wrote a plan in 2015 that was bereft of common sense and has absolutely no relation to the situation we find ourselves in today. So I find it extraordinary that we're getting attacked for not following council procedure when it was the authors of this flawed procedure who are actually attacking us. This is a sort of emergency where we all need to work together, and I really want to commend council staff. I was at a long briefing on Monday night where we went through all these things, including the fact that if people have got evaporative air conditioners, they can now choose to use them wisely, but we won't be disadvantaging any of these people and forcing them, if they need to cool their homes, to go to an expensive refrigerated system. I was actually astonished at the level of detailed work that the staff had done in such a short time, bearing in mind that these are busy people who've got plenty of other things to be doing as well. So I just want the community to know that the work that council has done, the staff have done in the past month, has been incredible, and it was only possible because of the support of local businesses like Mr White and like-minded businessmen who are working for the future of Dubbo and not trying to further causes of their own. Thank you.
Further comment, councillors? No? Okay, I'll put that. All those in favour? I know, carried. I now move to CCL 19/192, the formation of other committees, working parties and other groups of council. Can I have a mover of that? Councillor Moore. A seconder, please. Councillor Etheridge. Any discussion or debate on that matter? No? I put that. All those in favour? I know, carried. Part of that is now we need to select the representative on the RMF Regional Consultative Committee, Lachlan Regional Transport Committee, Newell Highway Task Force, the Community Consultative Committee meeting of the Macquarie and Wellington Correctional Centres. So I think we should do one at a time. Councillors are looking for a representative of the RMS Regional Consultative Committee meeting. So anyone like to nominate to be a representative on that one? The RMS Regional Consultative Committee meeting. Councillor Ryan.
Yeah, I'll nominate Councillor Moore.
Okay, a seconder for that one. Councillor Lawrence. Do you accept that nomination, Councillor Moore? Yep. Further nominations? No. Okay, I declare Councillor Moore elected to that one unopposed. Now we move to the Lachlan Regional Transport Committee meeting committee. Can I have a...
I'd like to nominate Councillor Etheridge to be the representative on that committee.
Okay, a seconder for that one. Councillor Moore. Councillor Etheridge, do you accept that nomination?
Yes, I do.
Okay, any further nominations to that one? No. Okay, I declare Councillor Etheridge elected unopposed to that one. Now we move to the Newell Highway Task Force. Can I have a nomination for that one? And yeah, Councillor Moore. Okay, a seconder for that one. Councillor Ryan. Councillor Etheridge, you accept that nomination? Okey-dokey. Any further nominations for that position? No? Okay, I declare Councillor Etheridge elected unopposed to that one. And also the Community Consultative Committee meeting of the Macquarie and Wellington Correctional Centres. Can I have a nomination for that one?
I'm already on that committee as a community representative.
Okay, all right. So,
Yes, I hold both positions.
right. So, any further nominations from another? Noting that Mayor's already on there. Any further nominations to be on that committee for the Correctional City? Yeah. Councillor Etheridge.
Excuse me, Mr Mayor, I'd like to nominate Councillor Lawrence.
Okay, sure. For a seconder for that one, Councillor Moore. Any Councillor Lawrence, do you accept that nomination? Just keep falling into those roles, don't you, Councillor Lawrence? Further nominations on that one? No. Okay, Councillor Lawrence. I declare Councillor Lawrence elected unopposed. So that concludes that one. Now we move on, councillors, to the CCL 19/193, the variance of number of electors in council wards. Can I have a mover of that motion, please? Move Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Etheridge. Any discussion on this matter at all? No? Well, effectively, I'll throw my 2 cents in there. It's just so disappointing, councillors, so disappointing that we still can't get any real change when it comes to our abhorrent ward system. We know that the people of Dubbo don't like our wards. We know that the wards are confusing. The names of the wards are confusing. People don't know what wards they're in. And it's just wrong on so many different levels. And again, I'd like to appeal to the government to change that legislation. We do need just 2 wards in Dubbo, a big Dubbo ward of 8 councillors instead of 4 lots of 2, but also leave Wellington with its own representation of having 2 councillor representatives. The idea that we cut Dubbo up into 4 different parcels of wards, and then we're meant to represent other people who might not necessarily voted for us, and that is so problematic on so many different ways. It is a pity that we are still having to deal with this ward situation. But again, working through Local Government New South Wales, working through different organisations, I would hope one day that we will find a solution to this problem with the wards. It's something I certainly don't like. So I'll further comment on that one. No, I put that. All those in favour? Right, no, carried. Okay, up next, CCL 19/194, the Australian Airports Association National Conference 2019. Can I have a mover of that one, please? Move Councillor Etheridge. A seconder, please. Councillor Ryan. Any discussion or debate on that matter? No, I put that. All those in favour? Right, no, carried. Now we move on to CCL 19/195, the Dubbo Day Tony McGrain Award, change of criteria. Can I have a mover of that one, please? Move Councillor Diffie. A seconder, Councillor Jones. Any discussion or debate on that one? No? Well, I'll use this opportunity, councillors, a related issue, that yes, it is still got time to nominate people, not just for the Tony McGrain Award, but also all the awards in the Dubbo Day award ceremony that is held in the coming weeks. Dubbo Day is an important day in our civic calendar, there's no doubt about that. The amount of good people who have gone through the Dubbo Day award structure is great. It is a good opportunity for council and for the community to recognise people in our community who do a very, very good job. And we as councillors know, in fact, every one of us in this room would know of good people out there who are doing fantastic jobs in the community. I certainly encourage everyone to go and have a look at some of the community groups and identify the people who are doing a good job. It's often the people who make the less noise are the ones who do the greatest jobs. So I certainly encourage members of the community to get behind Dubbo Day, get nominations in. There are a lot of really worthy people in the community, volunteers who give up their own time to make Dubbo a better place. And I'd like to see a lot more nominations come in for Dubbo Day. Dubbo Day is a very, very important day in our civic community. Of course, it is the 23rd of November. It's all about when our little village was proclaimed a village back all those years ago, over 160 years ago. So, councillors, I move that. I'll put that. All those in favour? All right, no, carried. Now, councillors, we move to CCL 19/196, the realignment of overhead electricity power lines at Keswick Estate. Can I have a mover of that one? Move Councillor Grant. A seconder, please. Councillor Etheridge. Any discussion or debate on that matter? No, I put that. All those in favour? All right, no, carried. Now we move to CCL 19/197, road closure and disposal agreement, the Curragh Creek Bridge and Renshaw-McGirr Way at Curragh Creek. Can I have a mover of that? Move Councillor Jones, and a seconder, Councillor Grant. Any discussion or debate on that matter? No, I put that. All those in favour? I know, carried. Now we move next to CCL 19/198, the planning proposal operational review of the Wellington Local Environmental Plan of 2012, the results of public exhibition. Can I have a mover of that one, please? Move Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Jones. Any discussion on that matter? Nope, put that one. All those in favour? Right, no, carried. Up next, CCL 19/199, the Dubbo City Regional Airport lease, hangar site 17. Can I have a mover of that one, please? Move Councillor Moore. Seconder, please. Councillor Etheridge. Any discussion or debate? Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. My brother's one of the parties looking at leasing this. I'm going to leave the room and I won't take part in this discussion. A non-significant, non-pecuniary interest.
Very good. Okay, councillors, any discussion or debate on this matter? No, I put that. All those in favour? I know, carried. Someone can invite Councillor Ryan back into the room, please. Okay, we now move into go to CCL 19/200, watering of Dubbo Regional Council sporting and open space assets. Can I have a mover of that one, please? Move Councillor Diffie, seconded Councillor Lawrence. Any discussion or debate on that matter? Yes, Councillor Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just very briefly, look, I just want to thank the Director for bringing this up to Council. It's great to see that we're going to be including those 3 ovals in Wellington, in Dubbo, so Pioneer, South Dubbo and Jubilee, and obviously Kennard Park in Wellington, and obviously encouraging that the watering of those facilities is there. It's not obviously going to be at the same extent as it is at the moment, but I was just going to say, if it got to the point that we needed more water for these facilities, especially our junior sports facilities, I would have even recommended that councillors or even community give up some of their water allocation to actually water these facilities, because I think, you know, junior sport is a big part in Dubbo and Wellington, obviously, and communities around the area, and I think we just need to ensure that we're encouraging these sports without obviously jeopardising the facilities that they are using. Thank you.
I agree. Further discussion? Councillor Diffie.
Mr Mayor, I'd like to again thank the staff as well. I think it's important to note that it's restricted irrigation be permitted for these ovals, so we're ensuring that we're maintaining them to a standard that they're not dying and that they're not going to cost us a lot of money down the track to repair and replace these ovals. And I think that's important that we stress that to the community, that it is just for restricted irrigation so that these ovals can be used, but that they're not going to be maintained into the condition that they are. And so I thank the staff for recognising that and the significance of keeping those playing fields at least at that level for the community.
Further comment? Councillor Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I strongly support this, and it was something that came out of the workshop, and it was an interesting discussion, and it's certainly a very detailed report. It shouldn't be thought in the community that this represents a walking away from water restrictions in any way, and if anyone is of that view in any way, then I would certainly suggest that they go to page 94 of the council papers and read the report, because what it basically says is that unless we do this, the financial damage will be really quite astronomical. So I think in a very responsible way, this report proposes that we do what is necessary, both bearing into account the need to conserve water, but also the need not to incur that big financial expense. So certainly, in my view, a responsible report that I'll certainly be voting for.
Further, Councillor Ryan.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I think it's important. We heard today in public forum about how important it is for people during a drought to see something that's green. And I know there's been a lot of criticism on social media about playing fields being watered, but it's totally different to anything that's owned by private residents, because it's there for the entire community. And even if you don't use it, just to drive past it, just gives you a feeling of hope, I suppose. Thank you.
Okay, further discussion or debate on that matter? No, I put that. All those in favour? Carried. Okay, councillors, we now move to comments and matters of urgency. Councillor Jones? No? Councillor Ryan? Councillor Moore?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. As councillors might or might not be aware, that our Executive Manager of Governance and Internal Control, this is his last council meeting, Michael Ferguson. I'd like to thank you for your efforts that you have put in 22 years on Dubbo City Council and Dubbo Regional Council. That's a great effort. I know you're moving on to less dustier times at Port Macquarie. I wish you and your family well. I thank you for everything that you have done for me as a councillor, even though I'm not real up to date with some of the technical stuff, and I thank you for that, Michael. I wish you well in the future, and I think on behalf of the residents of Dubbo, thank you very much for your service. It's been greatly appreciated, and congratulations and well done in the future, mate.
Councillor Parker.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I'd just like to echo Councillor Moore's comments there, and wish you, Michael, all the best for your future endeavours. All the best.
Councillor Diffie.
Two things. One, congratulations to the committee and the sponsors and everyone that supported Dream Festival and put on a really wonderful event. Saturday, the markets in the park and the Lantern Parade in particular were fantastic, great vibe, and it was a real thrill to be a part of all of that. So congratulations to everyone involved. And to Michael, as a first-time councillor, you have been a real help and support, and we will miss you.
Councillor Lawrence.
I just can't let it pass by without also thanking Ferg for all his assistance. And since I've been on council, which hasn't been a very long time compared to other people, but it's always you that I've turned to when something is confusing to me or I need help on something, and you have been unfailing in your help and always prompt in providing it, and mate, it's just been really appreciated.
Councillor Etheridge.
Never let it be said. Same here, Michael. You've been a great help to me on many, many occasions when I've stumbled and fallen. You've always been there to pick me up. So, yeah, and thank you for the great support that you've given to this great community.
Councillor Grant.
A couple of things, so I'll leave Ferg till last. So, but also I just want to bring up about the, I don't know if anyone's heard about the work that the Wellington Rotary and the Northbridge Rotary have done. They've actually sponsored 700 children from the Wellington area, so Wellington schools, public schools, Catholic schools, and Mumble, Stewart Town, the wider area, to go to the zoo for a day. So they've so Wellington Rotary and Northbridge Rotary sponsored and paid for all the children to go to the zoo, for a day. All not on the one day. It's been spread over the last sort of probably obviously school holidays in there, but about the 6 or so weeks. And also the Rotaries both put on a barbecue as well, so they cooked a barbecue for the kids as they come round. And from all reports, it's been a fantastic, fantastic event. The kids have loved it, and obviously it's, you know, the kids have gone home being able to, you know, talk about it to their parents, their families, and it actually first started from an idea about how can we encourage or give something back to the farming communities in the region. And basically we said, well, we can't just leave it at the farming communities. How about we just do it for all the school children? And it's just great to see some of these kids that have never been to the zoo and be able to go home and talk about it, and the smiles that they've had about when they're talking about the monkeys and the lions and the tigers and the elephants. It's just amazing being there and being involved in it myself, cooking the barbecues. It's just great to... a great initiative that was put forward by Wellington Rotary and Northbridge, which is in Sydney, for anyone that wasn't aware. And finally, thank you, Michael Ferg, as we all know, for everything you've done. Your calming influence on all our meetings. So you seem to just be able to work through any situation. So wish you all the best and congratulations as well.
Okay. All right. I'll throw my 2 cents in as well. Look, councillors, well, firstly, a report on Minakamo visit will come to the next council meeting, because we only just touched back down on Friday, and I'd like to thank Councillor Lawrence for filling in that in the role of acting mayor whilst I was away, and thankfully not too many changes were made. Anyway, look, council, we certainly owe a great debt of gratitude to Michael Ferguson. The reality is, look, I tell you what, the words calming influence is very well put. He certainly is a very good calming influence. And the 20-odd years I've been here at Dubbo Council, he's probably one of the staff members who's been around longer than me, which is getting fewer and fewer, sadly. Look, Ferg, there's no doubt about you. You are one of the best in the business, full stop, in local government. There's no doubt about it. And Yeah, I never have to admit to it. I never have to admit to it again. You get one of these, one only. Look, there's no doubt about it. And yes, we know you're off to Port Macquarie to do something very similar. But at the end of the day, let me just remind you, you're a boy from Dubbo, full stop. And we're very, very, and as the mayor, and as the head, as a so-called leader of the city, I can certainly say we're very, very proud of you to know you as a boy from Dubbo. So thank you very much for the service you've done to Dubbo Council. Thank you. Okay, councillors, we now move on to Committee of the Whole. So, which also means for a closed confidential session of council as well. Can I have a mover of that, please? Move Councillor Moore, seconded Councillor Grant. All those in favour? Aye, no, carried. Okay, councillors, I'd like to thank the members of the public and media for your attendance tonight here at council. Okay, councillors, welcome back. We have a. Can I have a? The reading of the Committee of the Whole report, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. With regard to the Committee of the Whole meeting held 4th November 2019, I report as follows. Item CW 1921, modifications to the Waste Management Services contract. The Committee recommends that Council adopt the following waste contract modifications that have been agreed to by J.R. Richardson Sons as follows. In lieu of rolling out new recycling bins to residents of the former Dubbo Council area, Council accepts the new service charge proposed by J.R. Richardson Sons that allows for the maintenance and replacement of the older bins. And at the end of the waste contract in June 2028, the bulk bins and roll-on, roll-off bins purchased by Council for use at the various transfer stations during the term of the waste contract will remain the property of Council. With regard to CW 1922, long-term lease of the Dubbo City Holiday Park, Committee recommends 1. That in accordance with Section 178 of the Local Government General Regulation 2005, Council decline to accept any tenders. 2. That the Chief Executive Officer be authorised to commence negotiations with the Australian Tourist Park Management Trading as NRMA Parks and Resorts for the long-term lease of the Dubbo City Holiday Park, and any documentation be executed under the power of attorney. 3. That the current contract of management for Dubbo City Holiday Park be extended to March 2020. 4. That a report be presented to Council in February 2020 with recommendations for a new long-term lease for the Dubbo City Holiday Park. And 5. That the documents and considerations in regard to this matter remain confidential to the Council. With regard to item CW 1923, sale of Council-owned property at 15 Depot Road. Thanks. The Committee recommends 1. That 15 Depot Road, Dubbo be offered for sale by public auction in December 2019. 2. That a 4-week marketing campaign be undertaken in the lead-up to the property auction. 3. That the Chief Executive Officer be authorised to set a reserve price for the auction based on an independent valuation report being obtained prior to the auction date for 15 Depot Road, Dubbo. 4. That all documentation in relation to this matter be executed under the power of attorney. And 5. That the documents and considerations in regard to this matter remain confidential to Council. And item CW 1924 had to be excluded and will be dealt with separately.
Yep. Okay. Can I have a mover of that, please? Move Councillor Moore, seconded Councillor Lawrence. All those in favour? Right, no, carried. Now we move to CW 19/24. Mr. Ferguson, does that get read now, or do I?
Declaration. You'll need a mover and a seconder and declarations.
All right. So to need to read the resolution
for the move and second.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So the item is a code of conduct matter. The recommendation is that the committee recommends that recommendations 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 of the Internal Ombudsman Investigation Report be adopted.
So can I have a mover of that one? Move Councillor Jones. The seconder, please. Councillor Grant. Okay. Conflicts of interest. Do we have first one, Councillor Lawrence?
Yes. I'd like to declare a significant non-pecuniary interest, and I think in the circumstances I probably shouldn't state the reason because it tends to identify the councillor involved.
Okay.
Is that, if I might ask a question, is that correct, that in the circumstances, CEO, that I shouldn't state my reason?
Look, if it's subject to the report, presumably just saying it's subject to the report that's before council.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm leaving the room on the basis of that significant non-pecuniary interest. Yeah, so the reason is, without identifying the subject matter or the person, is that I have a personal connection to the subject matter of the conduct that led to the making of the complaint.
Councillor Diffie.
Mr Mayor, I'd like to declare a non-pecuniary less than significant interest, as the matter could have affected my employment by New South Wales Parliament. And I will leave the room.
And myself, councillors, I will declare a conflict of interest in the matter because my name is also mentioned in the report. Thank you.
Councillors, as the chair and deputy chair has left the council forum, can I ask for a move and a seconder for a person to take the role as chair? Councillor Ryan.
I nominate Councillor Moore.
Councillor Etheridge. Councillor Moore. Accepted. Any further nominations? Second is Councillor Etheridge.
Sorry.
Any further nominations? Nominations closed. Happy, Mr. Carried. Thank you.
Thanks, councillors. We had the recommendation in front of us, 1 to 5. There's no questions or debate. There's no questions or debate. I put that. All those in favour? Declare that carried as no one's against. Thank you.
Everyone jumping out of their seats so you get all back in the room. Probably wasn't a good one to bring Gay to for the first meeting. This is very messy.
I'll come back to declare the meeting closed. Thank you, councillors, for your attendance tonight. Thank you.